What's up, everyone? Yeah, my video before got interrupted. My bad. But yeah, I was talking about the more mainstream crazies, and then today we have this storming of the Capitol, crazy bullshit. So I mean, I think it kind of illustrates my point, right? But another thing I noticed this week is watching some of the millennial interviews, like some snippets from other shows, and then I actually watched a couple, like James Alsop, the part of the Mike Enoch one, maybe one or two more. But so you just kind of have your more regular crazies, MAGA, QAnon, if you want to call that regular, but more out there in the open. And then you have, what do we call these people? National Justice, JQ Tards. And their whole, what they're basically all about is, oh, we can't address our problems because we can't talk about the one main problem because it's quashed, it's censored, blah, blah, blah. That problem, in case you don't know what that is, that's the JQ, of course, the key to everything. But even more than that, they want to talk about race and IQ, genetics. So yeah, it's the JQ, and then it's all the racial stuff. So, but the real key there is they want to talk about the JQ, and they think they address the JQ, they solve all our problems. So we got even the more radical wackos. But I don't know, I just find that dynamic interesting. People are just so convinced that because there's such backlash to addressing the JQ, it has to be the key to all the problems. It's like this forbidden fruit, and if they can just bite it and pass it around and get others to bite it, they can really solve all of our problems. Sorry about this horrible viewing experience, by the way, but it is what it is. I just find that even crazier than the JQ Tards, the Stop the Steal people, etc., etc. But it doesn't occur to these people, why is the JQ so forbidden? Is it because there's truth in it? Well, that's what they think. It's the truth. It's the forbidden fruit. It's the truth. That's why they won't let us talk about it. Or is it because these people have made themselves so hated and are so cliche and so ridiculous, and they caused so many problems in the past, in the 1930s and 40s and whatnot. They don't seem to think that they're just totally fucking whacked out, and that's why there's such a backlash against them. Nope, never their fault. It's the fault of people that are a part of the JQ conspiracy, in denial or trying to cover it up or whatever. But it's just they won't let that bullshit go. They won't let go of the forbidden fruit of the JQ, and they're gonna die trying, and just act as cringe and ridiculous and try to force that through, which is never going to be successful, right? But in a way, they're not looking for necessarily electoral success. It's clear, they recognize in both political parties that's never going to fly. There's probably going to be a crackdown on crazies, so certainly they're not even going to be able to get into a fucking Republican event. But they even say their main goal is to open people's eyes, so to say, with that, to stir up the pot, to cause chaos, to ultimately overthrow the system we have here. And I was thinking, well, Hitler ultimately was unsuccessful, right? Obviously he had some early successes, both economically and militarily. He basically controlled the bulk of Europe, more so than anyone since Napoleon, but couldn't quit there. That wasn't victory enough. Had to take Russia, the Soviet Union, the UK. That's a little more complicated, but declared war on the US. Just wasn't enough for him. And so ultimately, this crazy worldview, the fear that they were going to be destroyed, so they had to strike first the Soviet Union, ultimately was their downfall. Was the JQ ultimately an existential threat to Germany? I mean, no, they dominated Europe. It's clear that they had complete control of Europe. But in their minds, this was their obsession. You know what I mean? So it's like, even though it's not reality based, their crazy obsession with the JQ, I feel like it serves their purposes. Because what are they ultimately against? Okay, they're ultimately against Jewish influence as they see it, but they're against liberal society. They're against tolerance of, quote, outsiders or outside thinkers. So if you want to impose like a fascist dictatorship, you got to get rid of that tolerance. So, I think it starts with the Jews, and then the homosexuals and whatever, non-whites, liberals, communists, people that are for tolerance and open society and democracy. So I was kind of conflicted in my mind, because it's like, well, ultimately, this strategy of focusing on the JQ is pretty much would result in their losing, because it's ineffective and doesn't solve their problems. But at the same time, it is successful in bringing about the society they want. Because, okay, even if all these problems aren't caused by the Jews, well, they just don't like Jews being outsiders, whether they have a lot of influence or little influence, and the other people associated with Jews, like whatever, blacks and the civil rights movement, gays, which in their mind, there wouldn't be gays if it wasn't for Jews. This is like their ploy to undermine society. Other minority groups would be quashed, expelled, whatever, eliminated, whether it's violently or non-violently, like, either way. So I think ultimately it does serve their purposes. So that's kind of maybe a little bit hard to understand, hard to fully understand what's going on there. So, I don't know. These are my streams off the cuff. Not the best, not the worst, I hope. But, shit, I hope 2021 is slightly more normal than 2020. I mean, much more normal. But any improvement would be welcome. Anyway, whatever. Everyone have a good night.